Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di, and today I'm sharing with you my diary entry for the week of June 25th through July 1st. Today is Saturday, July 1st. So I feel like I finished off the Manga Pride Readathon strong. I ended up reading quite a few volumes, which is great. And so I do have several things to share my thoughts with you on today. I also have a little bit of a reading update as to what I am currently reading. And that is pretty much it. I haven't done any knitting this week because my hands are still bothering me. I have a feeling it has something to do with the change in weather. I do notice that my hands tend to ache more, and not just my hands, like my body tends to ache more during the summer when it's hot, and I'm not quite sure why. Normally with people who have arthritis, it's the cold that really bothers them, but for me, when it gets hot is when I start having issues. And so yeah, my hands are still bothering me. I'm also finding that my shoulder blades are tensing up. There's been several times during the week where I'm just like sitting there and my shoulder blade back here, which is the same side that I'm having pain in my fingers, my left side, just has that like tingly feeling where it feels like it fell asleep. So yeah, it's kind of strange. I don't want to strain myself, so I laid off the knitting this week. We did watch a few movies, so I guess I could talk to you about that at the end, but let's get into what I've read, because like I said, I've read quite a bit. So we'll do what I finished reading this week, what I'm currently in the middle of, and then we'll do some movie chat at the end. So let's get started. So the first thing that I finished since I talked to you last was The Pet Detective Agency by Noji, rated, I would say, older teen, but don't quote me because I don't actually have the back of the flap to actually tell me. And this one's also published by Denpa. So I have not ever read a volume by Denpa before, and I don't have a volume of Denpa published manga in my collection, so I don't know if they actually put the age rating on the back or not, but just based on my thought, I would say this is older teen. So this title basically is a one-shot that follows a pair who run this detective agency, but you will see that pet is in parentheses on the cover of this title, and basically one of the partners in the detective agency has an uncanny ability to attract animals to him. And so a lot of the jobs that they do have to do with lost animals, because it's easier to find lost animals, they just come right to him, right? So we follow the pair doing a couple jobs, and we get a little bit of their like life together, because they do live together. The older of the pair kind of saved the younger of the pair, and this is a BL, so I think you can tell just from that there's going to be some romance in there. I will say that I wasn't convinced of the romance. I was convinced that one of them definitely was crushing on the other hard, but I wouldn't say that I could feel reciprocal feelings coming from the other. The cases that they worked were pretty fluffy, I would say, not anything too exciting, but the very last case that comes up was interesting. It was much more my type of case and didn't have anything to do with animals. So, yeah. All in all, I did enjoy this one. I gave it 3 stars. I won't be purchasing a copy for my collection, and I won't read it again, but it was enjoyable while I was reading it, and I'm glad I tried it out. Definitely interested in checking out a couple more titles from Denpa. So I know my library has more. I just need to see which ones would be of interest to me. So yeah, 3 stars. As far as the Manga Pride Readathon prompt goes, I used that one for mood read. So I used that one for a mood read, and I believe that one gave me one of my bingos, so that's great. The next thing I read was Glass Syndrome by Aiki. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. But this one is also published by Tokyo Pop. I would say this one probably rated older teen, if not mature. It kind of depends. And again, I don't have the back flap to check. It would be like high older teen because there is some sexual content in there, but it's not detailed. It's kind of vague, but there's definitely sexual content in there. I would probably say 17, 18, probably. But yeah, I don't know what the actual age rating is. I could probably look it up. So the Tokyo Pop website says that this one is 16 plus, so that's older teen. This one is about a guy who's like the perfect student, and he agrees to everything that anybody asks him to do. He doesn't enjoy doing everything that they ask him to do, but he's like the perfect student. So he's like the class president, he's good at sports, he's loved by all his classmates, and the girls absolutely adore him. And so when one of the teachers asks him to go and check on another student who hasn't been at school for a long time, just to make sure he's okay and, you know, give him his catch-up work and things like that, our character agrees. And I believe his name is Nijo. And so he goes and checks on this guy, and it turns out that this particular guy has gone to school with him for quite a while. And he ends up finding out that this guy, Tumi, has a secret, and a secret hardship at that. And as he gets to know Tumi a little bit better, their relationship kind of grows. And so this one, for me, was just okay. I feel like this one could have been better if there were more pages. So this particular volume has actually 2 stories in it. We follow this story that has Nijo and Tumi, and then there's a separate story that follows another kid that's in college who has an unrequited romance with his roommate, and his senpai has professed feelings of love for him, and he's kind of trying to work out his feelings. And for me, that story was interesting as well. It was very sad. Again, though, that one felt like it could have benefited from having more pages. Like, it could have been its own manga volume, and Glass Syndrome should have had more content to make it its own manga volume. And I think that's why I feel the way I do about this particular story. There wasn't enough to draw me in and make me want to see these relationships being portrayed flourish and grow, and for the characters to be happy. And I also wasn't really convinced about how the romances ended up. It just wasn't convincing to me. And so while I thought this volume was entertaining, and I did enjoy my time while I was reading both of the stories that are in this volume, it just wasn't enough for me. It didn't hit the mark, and so I ended up giving this volume 3 stars as well. I ended up using Glass Syndrome for purple on the cover for the Manga Pride Readathon prompt. So the next volume I read was The Flower That Seems to Truly Dance. I also borrowed this one from my library through Hoopla, published by Tokyo Pop. This one is by Saki Tsukahara, who also wrote Replay, which is a volume that I talked to you about last week. And this one, Tokyo Pop says, is rated 16 plus. I would disagree because there is sexual content in here. So even though it is not like graphic, to me the sexual content in this volume was definitely more graphic than the sexual content that was in Glass Syndrome. So I would consider this one more mature. But The Flower That Truly Dances, that Seems to Truly Dance, is a historical BL story about 2 childhood friends. One of them used to dance a like classical type of dance, and I can't remember what word they used for it, but basically he's a male that dresses up as a female and does these dances. And he's been really good at it from a really young age. And one day when they're kids, his friend tells him that he hates the way he dances, and that put this big rift in between them. So fast forward several years, and now they're both adults. And the guy, Sotaro, I think his name, is feeling regret for saying that when he was a kid. And he wants to search out his old friend, Haromi, to make amends. And so this story follows Sotaro doing that, and then eventually meeting up with Harumi, and how their relationship gets mended throughout the background of Japan being in war at the time. And so I would say that of the two Saki Tsukahara books that I read this month, I definitely preferred Replay. I was more convinced of their relationship in that volume than I was in this one. But also the fact that Replay is more of a contemporary, more modern story, whereas The Flower That Seems to Truly Dance is definitely historical, set in times of war. There were just things that I don't enjoy. Don't enjoy historical, don't enjoy war set stories. I think their relationship was really cute. I liked how there were scenes where both of them were like kind of thinking of each other. I enjoyed that. I liked their relationship. And I'm debating whether or not I want to add this one to my collection. The art style is lovely. But I noticed that between this one and Replay, the mangaka definitely has a type of having a brunette and a blonde get together. Definitely. So I'm not quite sure that there are any more volumes that have been translated into English by this mangaka. But if there are any, I would definitely like to check those out. I gave The Flower That Seems to Truly Dance 4 stars. And like I said, I am considering purchasing it for my collection, but I'm definitely purchasing Replay because I really enjoyed that one. And The Flower That Seems to Truly Dance, I did not actually put onto the bingo board for the Manga Pride Readathon because by this point, the only ones that I had left to fill in was to read a doujinshi, which I don't have any, and I don't have access to any of those. Favorite mangaka, and I don't feel like I've read enough from any of the BL or GL mangakas to say that I have a favorite at this time. New release, which I probably could have used for a different one. If I like moved some stuff around, I could have probably filled in that one, as well as the one that's already filled in with the other title. But at this point, I was just like, it's okay. I'm fine with having that. A red cover, which this definitely doesn't have red on it, and to finish a series. And since this is a one-shot, I didn't do that. And then there was favorite trope. I guess I could have put it in for friends to lovers, but I don't really have a favorite trope. So, yeah, I didn't really want to lie. So I just didn't put it in on the bingo board, but I did enjoy it. Just not as much as Replay, but I would reread it again. The next volume I borrowed from my Hoopla app, which I'm very proud of myself because I actually used all of my Hoopla borrows this month, which is something I never ever do. Never ever. I don't think I've ever used all of my borrows. So that was great that I used them all this month. But anyway, the volume that I borrowed was The Snake Who Loved a Sparrow. And that is the last volume that I borrowed that took up my very last credit on Hoopla. So this one is by Enna Natsuo and is published by Tokyo Pop. This one is rated mature. So this one is basically following the romance between a predator and his prey. So at the beginning of the story, we meet Komazu, who is a sparrow, and Komazu is in the forest and comes across Shirato, who is a snake. And sparrows are prey for snakes. And so Komatsu gets really frightened, and Shirato tells him, "Don't you hear that? There's a stampede coming. Go get away, get away." And Komazu has gotten himself into a situation where he can't fly away. His wings are caught, and so Shirato saves him. And instead of thanking Shirato, Komazu basically berates him and hurts Shirato's feelings. And so this story follows the relationship of Komatsu and Shirato, and them kind of learning to understand each other, and how Komatsu feels about having to eat other creatures and things like that, and they eventually have a romance. I will say that this particular volume probably would have been a 4-star read for me had it not been for the sexual content that is in this volume. That totally made me give this only 3 stars. This story focuses a lot on the exploration of each other's genitalia. And that's all I'm going to say. That is all I'm going to say. So, yeah, that was really weird. I don't feel like it had anything to add to the story. I felt like we could have gotten a really, really strong, enjoyable story without that. So I ended up only giving this one 3 stars. I won't reread this one, but the relationship growth between these two characters was really sweet. It was just that sexual content in there. It had no place. It had no place. And so, yeah, unfortunately, that one was a pass for me. There is a content warning on this one that says this book contains sexual content, including non-human physiology, and is intended for an audience of aged 18 years and up. So just know that going in case you are interested in reading the love story between a snake and a sparrow. But yeah, if it hadn't been for the sexual content in that volume, I would have definitely given that one 4 stars, and I probably would have added it to my collection. But no. So those are all of the digital titles that I read. Now I have physical titles of the stuff that I finished for the rest of the month. So after that one, I ended up picking up Cherry Magic volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. I should probably mention that The Snake Who Loved a Sparrow did not go on the bingo board either, because I didn't have a place to put it. But this one did. Cherry Magic is by Yu Toyota, published by Square Enix Manga, rated mature. Though, I will say, in these 4 volumes, there's nothing mature yet. So I presume that the mature content rating is coming from volumes past this. I'm not quite sure how much past, but these 4 volumes are very clean. Very clean. So if you're interested in checking this series out, I'd say at least these 4 volumes are safe. So this story follows our characters here on the cover. This character here, his name is Adachi? Yeah, Adachi. He turns 30 and then discovers that he can now hear people's thoughts if he touches them. The subtitle to this series is 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard. So that's kind of where that comes from. And so these two are co-workers. They entered the company at the same time and are waiting for the elevator at work. And it's one of those bustling days, and Adachi ends up getting really close to, what's his name? Kurosawa. And can hear Kurosawa's thoughts. And ends up Kurosawa is crushing on him. So our character Adachi here is kind of freaking out because he doesn't know what to do. And sometimes Kurosawa's thoughts can be a bit overwhelming for Adachi, especially with the fact that he doesn't know how he feels about this knowledge that he now has. And so this series kind of follows Adachi figuring out how he feels for Kurosawa, and I think you can pretty much tell that there's going to be some kind of relationship between them. And so, yes. So this is volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, and volume 4. So this one definitely went onto the bingo board because it is my friend Bizarre Individual's favorite, or at least one of his favorites. So the bingo board had a prompt that said friend's favorite, and so that's where I put it. So I do enjoy the series. I enjoy how flustered Adachi gets anytime he hears Kurosawa having thoughts about him. And basically, Kurosawa is like a gushing teen, kind of, in the way that he expresses his attraction to Adachi in his mind. He doesn't like let any of that show outwardly a lot. It's very, very mild until Adachi kind of tells him that he kind of feels the same way. But every time Adachi is like listening to Kurosawa's thoughts, the font is like super huge, and it's just like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, he's so cute. How can I be this close to him? I'm so lucky today, type of stuff. And so it's hilarious, but it's sweet at the same time, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Now, I have a little bit of a problem with this one, and I'm sorry, Bizarre, if you're watching this, but I'm 4 volumes in now. They've kind of established themselves into a relationship at this point. Very, very new by chapter, by volume 4. But I'm kind of wondering when it's going to come out that Adachi can hear Kurosawa's thoughts. Because that's going to be like a bombshell, right? It should be. And if it gets too much further, I'm going to feel like the time has come and gone for that to have happened. And then I'm just going to start getting irritated, I think. Because the longer that Adachi keeps this secret from Kurosawa, the worse it's going to be. Like, the outcome and the reaction is going to be worse and worse and worse. So I feel like he should confess soon. Sooner rather than later. But 4 volumes in, when they finally started getting together, it still hasn't come out. They've gone on their first date, and it didn't come out at all. So I was kind of a bit irritated with that. But I'm enjoying the relationship. I mean, it's obvious that Kurosawa has feelings for Adachi right off the get-go. With some of just the actions he has. Even if you couldn't hear his thoughts, you could feel it in the actions. And the further we get into the series, the more you feel it. And now that Adachi has kind of reciprocated those feelings, they're coming out more and more and more. And he's just so sweet about it. But at the same time, I'm kind of getting irritated with Adachi for not fessing up. So, I did give all of these volumes 4 stars. I have one more volume in my current physical library, my shelves. But I decided not to read that yet because there are 2 other volumes out that I don't have yet. And I kind of want to read multiple volumes in one sitting. I read these 2 volumes in 2 volumes because these volumes are really thin. They're like 144 pages each, which for me, 2 of them are like the size of a regular volume. So I definitely want to have more before I read any more of the series. But for right now, I'm still enjoying it. I gave all of these 4 stars. We'll definitely be continuing. And I'm hoping that Adachi will fess up sooner rather than later. So, yes. Ended up doing that one for Friend's Favorite. And I did get another bingo from that one. So that one completed my last bingo. And then the last thing I finished for the month was my reread of Demons Are a Ghoul's Best Friend by Victoria Laurie. This is the second book in the Ghost Hunter Mysteries series. This series follows MJ and Gilly. MJ is a psychic medium. I think that's what the term is. The tagline here says, MJ Holiday has the gift of communicating with the dead, although sometimes it doesn't feel like such a great gift, especially when the ghost is wielding an axe. So in this particular installment, we are dealing with a Hatchet Man type myth or story. I don't know if it's a myth, but I know I've heard something like this involving a Hatchet Man from other things. So the Hatchet Man kind of storyline, where basically you have a vengeful spirit in this story that wields an axe and is injuring people, or like going after people and scaring little kids, because where he's appearing is at a school. And MJ and Gilly run this like paranormal type investigation agency where they go to haunted places and try to cross those spirits over. Or if they can't do that, say it's like a mean, menacing spirit like this, they banish it from this plane of existence. And so MJ is the only one that has these types of abilities. Gilly has been her friend forever, and he kind of deals with some of the PR stuff and computer stuff and, you know, the paperwork stuff and things like that. And so they get called in for this job because one of MJ's friends' nieces, I believe, has had an experience with the Hatchet Man at her school, and is so freaked out that she doesn't want to go back and she doesn't feel like it's safe. And so MJ agrees to go and try to see what's going on. And so, yeah, this is a reread for me. I read it physically the first time, borrowed it from my library. This time around, I listened to the audiobook, which I did purchase from Audible, using one of my credits, and I really enjoyed it. This was definitely a step up in the spook factor from the first one. I would say of the two, this one is definitely more scary because the Hatchet Man is vicious. It's vicious. It definitely gave you more of a feel of the fact that MJ could be in danger, and quite bad danger, while doing this type of job. Even more so than the first one did. I mean, you kind of got glimpses of that in the first book, but this one, with the entity that they're dealing with being so vicious, it definitely gave you that more edge of the seat type feel with the spook factor. I still don't like the way the narrator vocalized Gilly. I don't know, it just is not agreeing with me, but I'm going to continue to listen to the novels. This is one of my most favorite mystery series. It is one that I think about often. I can tell you that books 5 and 7 are probably my favorite, just because books 5 and 7 deal with castles in Ireland and Scotland. And so I'm really looking forward to getting to those, but I gotta read numbers 3 and 4 first. But yes, really enjoyed this one, gave it 4 stars. I do own all of the books in this series now, both in paperback and audiobook, and I really enjoy them. Victoria Laurie is a psychic medium in real life, and so she brings some of that experience into her writing. And I do follow her on Facebook, and I find lots of interest in things that she posts. Some of the predictions she's made has come true, in like real life things, and it's just really interesting to see the things that she predicts, and just things that she's experienced. And her writing, she talks about what she's writing. And fun fact, this series is supposed to be done. It was supposed to have ended several years ago. She said it was going to be the last one, but she suddenly got inspired to write another installment in the series. And so she's doing that right now. And so it's an awesome time that I've decided to pick this up and start rereading this series, because I didn't know that she was writing another one in the series when I first decided to start rereading this a few months ago. So I'm really looking forward to the book, because I absolutely love this series, and I can't wait to see what other adventures Gilly and MJ go on. So yes, really enjoyed that. Ended off my month strong with a nice 4-star reread. And yeah, I reread quite a bit this month. It's not something that I do a lot of on a regular basis, but there were times where I really needed to reread something because I needed to refresh my memory on what happened. But there were other times when I was continuing series this month where I felt like I didn't need to reread the first volume. And so it was nice to just continue, because what I had retained from my previous reading was so strong in my mind that I didn't feel like I needed it. So that was nice as well. All in all, I'd say I had a really, really great reading month. I ended my month strong. I was able to read lots of volumes from my library that I didn't have to purchase in order to read. So that saved me some money. And yeah, of those volumes, like I said, I'm probably going to only pick up 2 or 3. So that's great as well. And yeah, I had a really great time, like I always do with the Manga Pride Readathon. I do find that I need to work on my girls love selections, pumping up that section in my shelves, because I don't have a lot of it, and I mostly read BL this month. Even with the digital selections that were available from my library, mostly BL, hardly any GL. And I feel like the manga tube creators that I follow mostly haul BL also, so I think that's probably why I've picked up so much BL and not as much GL. But I definitely want to start looking for more GL titles that I might be interested in. I definitely found one that I am interested in during the month, so that's great. But yeah, that's everything that I read in the month of June. Now, as far as what I am currently in the middle of, I am still doing my buddy read with Amy from A-Star Reads of the House of Earth and Blood. We are here now, so we are moving along. We are on chapter 64, page 586. So I do think we will finish this in July, and I'm really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. I'm really, really enjoying this book right now. And so we are slowly going along with that. And then the other thing that I'm currently reading is kind of like a little crossover or a continuation of the Manga Pride Readathon. And I'm reading volume 17 of What Did You Eat Yesterday by Fumi Yoshinaga. This is a manga series that is published by Kodansha. I believe it's rated older teen. It's just a really, really great series. It's a series about our 2 main characters who are in a relationship, and the story just follows them throughout their life, mostly in regards to situations where there's food involved. One character really, really enjoys cooking, and so we get detailed step-by-step instructions on how he creates the meals or why he's doing certain things and things like that. And then our other character, he just kind of like puts things together, like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh, I'll put this into type thing. And so he's definitely a different type of cook than his partner. But this series definitely follows them from when they're much younger through their older years. Like volume 17 now, you know, they are a bit older. They're starting to think about things that can happen when you are older. And when I think about that, it makes me a little bit sad, because a few volumes back, they were definitely starting to think about end of life stuff. And though at this point, they're not quite there yet, but their parents definitely are. But yeah, it just kind of made me really sad, because you spend so much time with these characters and you get attached to them. And I'm definitely attached to our couple here. I really enjoyed watching them cook all of their meals. Even the meals that I have no interest in, because I would never ever eat something that had those ingredients. Like this volume, they were making a dish that had lots of anchovies in it, and I was just like, oh, I don't like anchovies. I don't eat fish. But it was interesting to see why he was putting the anchovies in, how he prepared them, and other things like that. And, you know, all of the different side dishes that they put together for the meal. And it's just really interesting. This definitely is a series that has a couple that you know is a couple, but they're not a couple that shows a lot of PDA. I don't even think we've seen them kiss yet. It's been 17 volumes. It's been several years that I've been reading this series. I don't believe we have seen them kiss. We have, I think, seen them hug and hold hands, but that is it. And it's very rare that we see that. But that being said, I really enjoy watching these two characters live their life together and watching them grow old together and enjoy meals together. And it's not just them enjoying meals together. They have also met another couple, a gay couple, and they've known them for a while now, and they spend the holidays with each other, and they enjoy meals together, all four of them. And, you know, there are other friends. Kake has a friend that he shares groceries with, and they talk about how grocery prices have inflated and how it's harder to get quality vegetables, and you know, how to make do without certain things, and sharing when they are able to find good deals and things like that. And just the friendships and things, you know, job promotions, and things like that. You're really like in this life with this couple, and I am very surprised that I've been enjoying the series as much as I am, because I think I've talked about this before, but I'm not normally one that enjoys romance stories. For me, romance stories, especially contemporary ones, mostly don't do well for me. They're not something that I really enjoy. But in manga, they have a much better chance. I typically enjoy romance stories, contemporary romance stories, much better in manga format. Manga, movies, or TV. Those will work better for me. I can enjoy a contemporary romance story if it's in one of those formats. But if it's in a novelization form or a novel form, forget it. It doesn't work for me, and I don't know why. But this is definitely not one of those series that I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm definitely in it for the long haul. I'll be reading that for years. I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's not one of those that I would have pegged right off the start to be one of those series for me. But I have really enjoyed watching this couple throughout the years and just following them in life, in their hardships, in their successes, in their day-to-day comings and goings, and I've just really enjoyed it. So I'm taking the reading of this volume really slowly because I only have 3 volumes. I have 17, 18, and 19, and I'm not sure when this series is going to end. I feel like I saw an article saying that it was in its final arc. I'm hoping that's not the case, but I have enjoyed every single volume I've read with this couple, and will continue to for the remainder of the series. So yes, really looking forward to more adventures with our couple and continuing that volume this evening. More often than not, I will like just read through an entire volume in one sitting, but this particular one, I've read like one chapter and then stopped. I've read another chapter and then stopped. And it's like I subconsciously just don't want to have the volume be done so quickly. And that's kind of new for me. I've not really ever had that. So yeah, I'm just really enjoying my time that I'm spending with that couple. But anyway, that is everything that I'm currently reading. And as far as movies, we finished our rewatch of the Transformers movies. So we finished Bumblebee last night. Really good. And I think we are going to start rewatching the Indiana Jones movie because I believe the new one is out now. So yes, I think that's what we will be doing this evening. So it is a bit later than I am normally filming. I just was uninspired to film today because I knew I had a lot to film. This is the 4th video that I'm filming today, plus the fact that it was over 90 degrees today, and we're still trying to figure out how best to situate our new air cooler. We got a new one this year, and it's supposed to be for a bigger room, be more powerful. but it doesn't seem to be working as good as the really old clunker that we've had all these years. So you need to like move around some stuff, put it in different places and see what works best. But yeah, it was a little bit frustrating earlier today because no matter where I sat, I could not feel the air cooler at all. And I was just like not comfortable. So it didn't make me want to sit down over here and film either, especially with the hot lights and everything that I have when I'm filming. But I finally got around to it. It is now 10 after 8, which is much later than I'm usually done with filming. And so I need to edit my what I've been warming video to put up tomorrow and then get some dinner in me. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to watch Indiana Jones tonight or not, but we will see. And that's pretty much everything I've got for you for this week. So next week, I do have to work on Monday. So I think we're getting off like an hour early. And then Tuesday is off, and then I work Wednesday, Thursday. So it's going to be a weird one. Not looking forward to that, if I'm honest. I much would have rather preferred that we were off Monday, Tuesday. But it is what it is. And I think that's all. So my reading is definitely slowed down. It has slowed down already, being the first day of the month. But I'm hoping I'll still continue to have a good reading streak throughout the month of July. I am participating in 2 readathons, the Choose Your Own Adventure readathon and the Sharkathon, which I think will be in the next couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to those. I'm going to have a really great time reading some shark fiction this month because I really enjoy that. If you have any recommendations for shark fiction, definitely let me know down in the comments below because I'm always looking for some good recommendations on shark fiction. I have already read Jaws. I have already read the Meg series. I've also read Extinct and the 3 books by Chris Jameson that have to do with sharks. And so yes, there are a lot on Kindle Unlimited that I'm looking at. So if you've read any of those on Kindle Unlimited especially, let me know which ones are the best ones to read. I would love your guidance on that. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for me today. Let me know down in the comments below how you finished out your reading in June, what your highest and lowest rated reads of the month were. If you participated in the Manga Pride Readathon, how many volumes did you get read, and how did you do on the bingo board? I'd really love to know that as well. I ended up with 3 bingos, and I think that is great. That is great. So yeah, and if nothing else, and you'd just like to let me know that you were here, if you could leave me some kind of, I don't know, firework emoji or some kind of celebratory emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.